Ah, I know what you might be thinking. Mr. Grow, why are you digging holes? Well, let me tell you. You see, this year, it's an exciting time here out on our little family farm. We're expanding our eucalyptus crop from roughly about 100 to 520, I think, 550 eucalyptus trees. Which means yours truly has to dig another 520 holes, which is pretty awesome. Now, we're not a big budget farm. We're a one-income family little hobby farm, does it on the weekends. Hence, why we're going to dig these holes with our trusty post hole digger. No fancy machinery out these ways, but it does give you a lot of time to think and plan and hope and kind of dream about what the future holds while we put in all this effort to expand our little farm. And important call out is, I wouldn't be able to be out here digging these holes to hope to expand our farm, to give our family something, if Mrs. Grow wasn't inside looking after the two little growers. So she's holding down the fort in there so I can come out here and try and improve our property for our family, which is a blessing, really is. But I thought, while I'm digging these 500 odd holes on top of the 100 I've dug there and on top of the hundreds I've dug around the property, I might give you some wisdoms about the importance of how to dig a proper hole if you're planting some kind of tree, whether it's a perennial eucalyptus like what we're planting for the fresh cut flower industry, whether it's a fruit tree. There are different ways of planting depending on the outcome, on the tree type, where you have it and what you want from it. So I've got a lot of time out here today, so I thought, let's go over digging holes. Now, when you're out here doing a job like this, that's largely repetitive in nature and a little bit physical, but doesn't take too much thought process, gives you a lot of time to think. And I was thinking, if I'm making a video about digging holes and 500 holes, how can I make a catchy title? What person wants to watch a video about some bloke in Australia digging holes? And I was thinking, how's that going to work on YouTube? What would I call it? How to dig a hole, digging holes for dummies? I don't really know. When it hit me, 500 holes to reevaluate your goals. Oof, there's wisdom in that. But I don't know if the YouTube algorithm or anyone else would find that very wise. But it's fun to mull around random ideas to fill in the time when you're doing this sort of work. Gives a man plenty of time to think, you know. Now, we might start with the type of holes that I'm digging, which is probably one of the easier, smaller and most basic holes. So you can see the holes we've got are spaced roughly 1 metre by 1 metre apart. And for what we want our trees to do, we're going to be heavily pruning them back each year. They don't need a huge amount of space. Now, this is about double what a lot of the commercial guys will do. A lot of them will do 20, 30 centimetres apart. I've been to some of the other eucalyptus farms in the region and they'll lay plastics and, you know, put holes in them 20 centimetres apart, but it's not really our thing out here. We try and minimise that sort of stuff, and one, for cost, and two, you know, the aesthetics. I say aesthetics, but you can tell the lines I've been doing aren't perfectly straight or anything. I'm more of a she'll be right kind of guy and it'll do sort of lad. I think people care too much about what things look like and not the function of them. So we get the eucalyptuses in the haiku trays, which I'll show you in a little bit, but they're not massive when they come. They're only little. Now, the ones we've got up on the hill, they've been in the ground. These ones about a year, and these ones, I think we're about 8 months old. Versus versus these ones, which are in the haikus. Now, the hole we need to dig for our eucalyptus, this post hole digger was actually perfect. It's the perfect depth, the perfect width. So, we've got our rough metre by metre apart for the road. We're driving it in. Now, we're due for a bit of rain out here, and we've got granite rock soil. So when we don't get the rain, it turns very sandy, which is what's happened at the moment. So you can see some of the dirt is slipping through the post hole digger here because it's just so dry. But we are hoping for some rain this weekend, and that's when I plan on doing the planting, so I imagine it will rain. Now you can see here, I'm using the post hole digger itself as a bit of a depth guide. About one whole depth of the post hole digger. And that's about perfect for the size of our eucalyptus plants to go in. What we'll be doing is we'll be mixing the soil that we've dug up with some more nutrient kind of rich compost soil. And when we put them in, we'll be hoping to mulch around them as well. Keeping the weeds and the grass down around these sorts of holes are a bit of a pain until the trees grow up a little bit, but it's part and parcel with what you want to do. So if you're planting a kind of an aesthetic-y little eucalyptus, I'd probably recommend getting it a little bit older before you put it into the ground, unless you've got the time to care for it when it's this young. It would be happy to stay in a larger pot for at least a year or two, and then as long as you make sure the roots aren't balling in that pot, you're fine to go. But on the other hand, if you want to plant it and you're getting it young like we have, that is a perfect size hole. You can see some of the other holes we've got going. Beautiful. Looks like we've had some spectators from next door come over. What do you ladies reckon? Some premium holes going on here and there. We're getting there. Oh, hello. Ah, what have I dug up for you? Getting there. Plenty more to do. Right, now as you can imagine, it took some time to dig these 500 odd holes. So I've just put in a bit of sped up footage. I think I was up to about 100 here, but I also realized I didn't get much good footage once I dug the 500. But you kind of get the picture. You know, it was a couple of days of long digging holes. They're getting there. Done about 200, maybe close to 250. Home stretch. Here they are. After a lot of digging, they're finally getting in the ground. Do you remember earlier in the video when I said it was going to rain the same night that I planted the eucalyptus? What a good plan that was. It didn't rain. As a matter of fact, not only did it not rain, we got a heat wave. We had 6 days of 35 degrees or 95 degrees Fahrenheit that smashed these poor little plants. I don't have irrigation set up, so I had to cart water to them by hand. We water them when we plant them, but it's just not enough. So I'm going to show you how they look a few weeks later. We've actually had a lot of rain since, but unfortunately it's been too little too late for these guys. So it's been a few weeks since we planted them, and you can see how much greener the grass is than earlier in the video, and that's thanks to the rain. I'd love to tell you that these guys are the eucalyptus we planted, but it's not the case. They're the older, more established ones, and they're loving the wet weather. But take a look at this. Oh, it's a very sad sight. These are our eucalyptus. A lot of them are beyond bringing back, unfortunately. They've just been fried by that heat wave. Now, the whole field is pretty much as big as the camera pans to. That represents 520 eucalyptus. Now, I'm trying to stay optimistic and say some of them will pull through, but unfortunately they don't look very good. There's not many of them, well, there's kind of none of them that look like they're thriving. Started mowing this field. Look, we have an alive one. You can see at the bottom where he got a bit scorched. This lovely new growth is coming through. Fingers crossed we come across many more. Oh, rest easy, friend. Come on, let's go. I'll tell you what though, if that doesn't epitomise first generation farming, I don't know what does. The seasons, you know, unexpected events in weather. We couldn't have seen that heat wave coming. Unfortunately, it's just something we're going to have to roll with the punches. It is disheartening, even a little devastating, how much effort and time and hope I had for these plants, but it's part and parcel with trying to do stuff on the land, I guess. I do have something exciting though. See this? That is an irrigation trench. And I'm going to be putting in irrigation to make sure that next year, if these guys don't survive, when we try again and I replant them, I can get water to them. So they can grow up and look like these guys who were planted the year before, who are very happy and healthy. I know this video started off about digging holes and it's kind of taken turns into planting eucalyptus and me killing eucalyptus, but I hope you've had fun watching. Hope you might have learned a thing or two, and stay tuned for some more updates. We'll see if some of these guys pull through, see what kind of weather we get. Also going to be sprouting some seeds, some billy buttons soon. Going to try and get them in the ground before summer as well. They're a beautiful perennial flower that look sometimes called a drumstick. Nice yellow bulb on the top. Going to try and see if we can't sprout some of them. So if you've made it this far, thanks for watching.